Tucked far from the noise and pressure of the city, a quiet lake cabin waited in stillness. It wasn't just a property. It was a dream realized, a refuge from the chaos of modern life. The protagonist longed for simplicity, for a life untouched by endless neighborhood regulations and overbearing HOAs. This cabin represented freedom. It stood apart, intentionally positioned beyond the authority of any homeowners association. It felt like the perfect escape. But there was one complication. The only access road leading to this hidden retreat crossed directly through HOA-controlled land. At first glance, it seemed insignificant. In reality, it was a spark that would ignite a fierce battle over independence and property rights. Before long, the HOA began flexing its authority, insisting the cabin owner pay road maintenance fees, despite the property not belonging to their association. Confused and frustrated, the homeowner turned to the archives, determined to uncover the truth. Old property maps were retrieved. Dust-covered deeds were studied. Forgotten easements were carefully reviewed line by line. Hours became long nights, and nights blended into days of research. Then, buried deep within aging documents, a breakthrough surfaced, a clause overlooked for years, a technicality that changed everything. The road the HOA claimed as theirs was, in fact, private property. It legally belonged to the cabin owner. It was a quiet but powerful discovery. The road was never under HOA control. It was theirs fully and legally, armed with documented proof. The protagonist approached the HOA in good faith, hoping reason would prevail. Evidence was presented calmly and clearly, but the board, entrenched in its authority, dismissed the findings outright. To them, it was rebellion, not revelation. Small disagreements quickly intensified. Payment demands grew firmer, layered with subtle threats. Each attempt at resolution was met with procedural delays and bureaucratic resistance. HOA meetings turned tense, almost hostile. The protagonist felt increasingly targeted and isolated. Formal letters began arriving, each asserting the HOA's supposed jurisdiction over the roadway. Then matters worsened. What started as fee disputes evolved into outright harassment. Fines were issued for questionable violations, seemingly manufactured to force compliance. Pressure mounted, but instead of backing down, the protagonist's resolve strengthened. This conflict was no longer just about asphalt and gravel. It became a matter of principle, a stand for what was legally justified and morally right. Professional legal counsel was retained, a seasoned attorney experienced in complex property disputes. The confrontation became official. More documentation was compiled. Every conversation recorded, every notice saved, every interaction carefully preserved. With each passing day, determination deepened, fueled by frustration and a fierce desire for autonomy. And after exhausting all peaceful options, a decisive strategy was formed. The time had come to act, to reclaim what had always belonged to them, to assert ownership clearly and without ambiguity. One quiet morning, action was taken. Without announcement or spectacle, the road was closed. Heavy equipment arrived. A solid gate was installed, marking the undeniable boundary of private ownership. Fresh signage followed, bold and unmistakable. Private property. No trespassing. Physical barriers reinforced the message. There was no room for misinterpretation. The reaction was immediate and explosive. HOA members were stunned. Confusion turned to outrage. Access they had casually assumed was permanent vanished overnight. Panic spread. The board launched urgent efforts to reverse the situation. Legal threats were issued. Residents gathered near the gate, demanding its removal. Protests flared. Heated words were exchanged. Appeals were made. But the protagonist remained steady, supported by unwavering legal backing. The dispute soon captured public attention. Local media covered the escalating property battle. News segments detailed the confrontation, framing it as a dramatic clash over land rights. The community buzzed with divided opinions. Some sided with the HOA. Others defended the homeowner's right to private property. Yet the documentation spoke for itself. The legal standing was clear. Calmly and confidently, the protagonist presented indisputable proof of ownership. In the end, faced with overwhelming evidence and insurmountable legal facts, the HOA had no choice but to concede. Their authority did not extend to the road. They were left scrambling to consider alternatives, perhaps constructing a new access route at their own expense. Peace finally returned to the lake. The cabin stood quiet once more, undisturbed and fully independent. The road, now properly recognized, remained closed to unauthorized access. The protagonists settled back into solitude, enjoying the still water, the rustling trees, and the freedom they had fought to protect. It was more than a legal victory. It was a reaffirmation of rights, a stand against overreach, and a powerful reminder of what true independence from an HOA really means.